Well, I don't believe he was wrongfully deported. He's an Salvadorian citizen
That's not my
illegally in the
question.
United States.
Okay.
No court can tell me how to conduct foreign policy. They can't tell me what I have to say to a president of another country, nor do I need to tell them what I told the president of another country, because I can't conduct
just
foreign
asking you,
policy. I'm not going to tell you what they are, and I don't have to, because we conduct the foreign policy of the United States, and I can't conduct diplomacy with a foreign leader if I come to committees and tell you what they said to me, what I said to them, and more certainly a court can't tell me.
What is up, Patriots? Welcome back to the channel. Man, did you guys just see that? I am literally fired up right now. We are watching Secretary of State Marco Rubio absolutely shred Representative Ted Lieu in what might be the most satisfying committee hearing I've seen in years. Look, we all know the drill. These DC career politicians like Ted Lieu love to show up to these hearings, act all smug, and try to set little legal traps to make the administration look bad. They want to use activist judges to tie our hands and tell us how to run the country. But Marco Rubio wasn't having any of it today. He walked into that room, took one look at Lieu's gotcha questions, and basically told him, "Sit down, I'm the one running the show." It's about time someone stood up and reminded these people that the executive branch doesn't take orders from a committee looking for a viral clip. We're about to watch the full clash, and trust me, you're going to want to see how Rubio handles the Ukraine trap too. Let's dive into the full video.
I recognize Representative Lieu.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary Rubio, thank you for being here today. As a member of the legislative branch, I don't have a special exemption to violate the law. You would agree with me, wouldn't you, that in America, no one is above the law?
Of course.
Okay. And in our system of government, it's Congress that makes the laws, the executive branch that executes the laws, and the judicial branch, when there's a dispute, that says what the law is. Is that right?
Within the context of separation of powers, yes.
Okay. And the reason that due process is so fundamental to America is before we put the entire weight of the federal government and snatch someone off the street, we might want to ask, hey, do you have something to say about that? Might we have the wrong person? And in the case of Mr. Garcia, the Trump administration admitted in court that they mistakenly deported him to El Salvador. The Supreme Court, in a 9-0 decision, said the Trump administration has to facilitate getting him back. Do you believe the administration has to follow that Supreme Court order?
Well, I don't believe he was wrongfully deported. He's an Salvadorian citizen
That's
illegally
not my
in the
question.
United
Do you believe
States.
the Trump administration has to follow the Supreme Court 9-0 unanimous decision?
Within the context of separation of powers. That
Okay.
No court can tell me how to conduct foreign policy. They can't tell me what I have to say to a president of another country, nor do I need to tell them what I told the president of another country, because I can't
I'm
conduct
just
foreign
asking you,
policy.
do you believe the Trump administration has to follow the unanimous Supreme Court
I believe we
decision?
are following it.
Okay, so my next question is, what steps have you or the State Department taken to facilitate the return of Mr. Garcia, who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
The conduct of our foreign policy is an executive function, and how I conduct
I'm
it,
just
I don't need
asking
to share
you.
with you.
Well,
and
let
I
me
don't
ask you
need to
this:
share with the court.
Have you or the State Department taken any steps to facilitate?
We've taken
the
steps,
return?
but I'm not going to tell you what they are, and I don't have to, because we conduct the foreign policy of the United States, and I can't conduct diplomacy with a
And
foreign
so-
leader if I come to committees and tell you what they said to me,
Right.
what I said to them,
you-
and more certainly a
Now,
court can't
so
tell me to say
you
that
have
either.
taken steps to facilitate Mr. Garcia's return.
We've made those. We've made that assertion, and we've made those assertions in court, and
All right,
we've
thank
complied.
you. I appreciate that. I'd like to ask you now about Ukraine. On August 24th, 2022, you tweeted the following. In the past 6 months since Putin's criminal invasion of Ukraine, Ukrainians have shown incredible bravery and strength as they fight to defend their homeland. On Ukraine's Independence Day, the free world applauds their courage and celebrates Ukraine's sovereignty. And then also in 2022, you said the people of Ukraine are tough people who will never accept being ruled by Putin. I want to ask you, I assume you continue to believe what you said in 2022, right? That we should celebrate Ukraine's sovereignty and that the people of Ukraine will never accept being ruled by Putin, right?
Yeah, that's why we're trying to end the war.
All right. On April 30th, 2018, you tweeted, "Glad to see State Department confirm delivery of Javelin anti-tank missiles to Ukraine. The U.S. should continue empowering Ukraine and other allies to defend against the threat of Russian aggression." You would agree with your prior statement that the U.S. should continue to support Ukraine against Russian aggression, right?
We've supported them more than anyone in the world.
All right. Unfortunately, it appears Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth went rogue and decided unilaterally to stop support for Ukraine earlier this year. Various news organizations reported that Secretary Hegseth paused military support to Ukraine without President Trump's knowledge. I'm going to read you from one article dated May 6. Quote, "Pete Hegseth canceled military aid flights to Ukraine just a week into Trump's second term without the president even knowing, according to Reuters. The order initially sparked mass confusion within the administration as national security officials in the White House, the Pentagon, and the State Department couldn't figure out who ordered the halt in flights. This is yet another example of the chaos and lack of cohesion that Hegseth has brought to the Pentagon from day one. Did Secretary Hegseth tell you before he ordered the halt in flights to Ukraine of military weapons?
I can't comment on that because I don't remember that. I don't remember ever hearing that, to what you're claiming now.
So your understanding is he never told you he was going to halt these flights?
I just know we're providing them assistance now, but the war ultimately has to end.
In 2016, you stated the following: from his repression of the Russian people and the assassination of his critics, to his dangerous invasion of Ukraine, the occupation of Crimea, to his threats against our NATO allies in Central and Eastern Europe, to the war crimes committed by Russian forces, Putin's Russia is a threat to global stability. You would agree with your prior statement, right, that Putin's Russia is a threat to global stability?
I would agree that in my role as Secretary of State, my job is to bring Russia to the table to end a war, and that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to end a war so that more people don't die.
Thank you. And trying to end the war, I simply note that Putin on Palm Sunday launched a barrage of missiles, killed a bunch of civilians. Right before his conversation with Trump recently, he launched a bunch of missiles, killed a bunch of civilians. So clearly, Putin is giving the middle finger to you and to the president. I urge you to defeat Putin on the battlefield. That's the only way to get him to the negotiating table. I yield back.
Can we just take a second to appreciate the absolute clinic Marco Rubio just put on? That was a masterclass in not taking the bait. You could see Ted Lieu's face just getting more and more frustrated as the minutes went by. He thought he was being so clever, bringing up cases from El Salvador and quoting Supreme Court rulings like he was some high school debate champion. But here's the reality, and this is why Rubio is the right man for the job. Foreign policy isn't a game of Simon Says with the judicial branch. When Rubio said, "No court can tell me how to conduct foreign policy," that wasn't just a line. That was a reminder of how our Constitution actually works. The State Department isn't run by a judge in a black robe. And it's definitely not run by Ted Lieu's Twitter feed. And then, did you catch that pivot to Ukraine? Lieu tries to pull up tweets from 2 years ago. Classic Democrat move, right? Oh, look what you said in 2022. Rubio's response was so cold and so perfect. Yeah, that's why we're trying to end the war. Boom. Done. While the left is out here obsessed with tough guy rhetoric and keeping the money, flowing into a forever war, Rubio is actually focused on the mission. Peace through strength and bringing people to the table. He didn't get bogged down in the he said she said about Pete Hegseth or whatever gossip the mainstream media is pushing. He stayed on the big picture. The best part? That final middle finger comment from Lieu. Talk about desperate. When you've lost the argument on facts and logic, you resort to being provocative for the sake of it. Rubio stayed the adult in the room. He showed that we have an administration. Now that isn't going to be bullied by the DC. Protected class or people who think diplomacy is just about winning an argument on social media. Rubio is smart, he's constitutional, and he's clearly got the backbone that we've been missing for way too long. But look, I want to hear from you guys. Was Rubio right to tell the courts to stay in their lane? Or do you think Lieu actually had a point? Just kidding. We know he didn't. Smash that like button if you're glad to see someone finally standing up to these smug politicians. Drop a comment below. Let's get the conversation going. Stay vigilant, and I'll see you in the next one.